2021 season. I'll try my best to call on everybody. If I don't get to you, just shoot me a message in the chat. And if you have a follow-up, do the same thing. Let's go ahead and get started. Paul Boyd, do you want to go ahead and lead us off? Okay, we will go to somebody else. Andrea Carter, do you want to go ahead and lead us off?
Sure, I could start. So I guess I'll start with Chelsea. Oh, there we go, got her attention. Chelsea, I guess just what did your summer look like? Were you at home? Were you training? What were some of the things that you did kind of on your own over the summer?
During the month of June, I did a lot of conditioning on my own, running up the hills in Arkansas and things like that. And then July, I came back and did the workouts that our strength trainer had put together for all of us. We had quite a few people back, majority of the team. Just getting at it, conditioning, doing sand workouts, getting in, shooting on the gun, things like that.
Got it. Did you have, with the workouts that your strength coach gave you, were you doing those kind of as a group?
For the month of June, I don't know about everyone else because it's not necessarily mandatory, but I did a lot of conditioning on my own. But in the month of July, we all come back together and do all the workouts together as a team.
Got it. And you talked to me a lot about conditioning, wanting to be able to get back to the rim and kind of score and finish through contact. We talked a lot about that last season. How do you see that paying off now that you've kind of been back on the court, back playing? How's your game look this season?
Yes, I've lost 20 pounds so far. I want to lose about 10 more. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. And I'll definitely be where my goal is at by the time our first game is. But it's been really well, trying to eat right again, extra conditioning, things like that.
What difference have you noticed in your game?
The ability to, like my sophomore year, the ability, that first step to get to the basket, to make quicker moves, exploding out of them. I've noticed a big difference, going that transition from sophomore year, losing that weight, to junior year, kind of gaining it back, to losing it again my senior year. I definitely know the difference in how my game is based off that 25 pounds.
Got it. And then last one for you, who have you seen just over the summer that either has stepped up that you think is going to have a bigger role this season than last season, since you got a couple of years under your belt?
I think we have a huge senior class. I think that when you have a big class like that, you don't everyone steps up. We hold the senior class to a little bit higher standard because we have been around. We know the expectation. The program has gone from here to here, and we've watched it right in front of our eyes. So I think that's enough motivation. But everyone looks good right now. Everyone's worked on something that they weren't as good at last year. So right now, I don't know. Everyone looks good.
Gotcha. Do you want me to keep going, Mario, with the other?
No, we'll switch it up here. Seth, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll start with Chelsea. Chelsea, you were one of the first players to come to Arkansas once Mike Neighbors, transfer over. What drew you to the university, and specifically Coach Neighbors?
It wasn't necessarily about the university because I'm not an in-state kid. It was more so about Coach Neighbors and the person he was, and the goals that I had for myself and where they would align in his program. And we sat down and talked. I've told this story many times, but we sat down and talked. I've talked about the goals that I wanted to do, where I wanted to be after I leave Arkansas. And I knew this was just a great fit. He just kept it honest and straightforward with me from the beginning, and has all the way through my time here. We've built a great relationship based off that.
With you being here, you kind of talked about it a little bit for so long. What's the legacy that you want to leave in your senior year?
Of course, I want to make an impact on the players that I play with, so that when I leave, they carry on those same ideas. But for me, I wanted to have a shot at the league. I wanted to. That's what my goal is. When I leave Arkansas, I wanted to make an imprint, and I wanted to play every single game, and I wanted to give everything that I had to Arkansas because Coach Neighbors believed in me. I love Arkansas. It's really made me the person that I am now. I came in this program a completely different player on and off the court, and for that, the lights just turned off. But for that, I just feel like I owe Coach Neighbors so much for what he's done for me that I just play, and I want to be able to leave Arkansas knowing that I gave every single thing that I had.
I'll come back around, Mario. I'll give it to somebody else right now.
Sounds good. Carolyn, do you have anything?
Yeah, one of the players I've been looking forward to seeing back on the court is Jalen. So, Jalen, I'll go with you. How has it been being able to be back on the court and know that you will be ready to play this season?
It's been really fun. Like Chelsea said, we've been back for the summer, just kind of working and getting back in shape. And that's something that I did not think I was going to have to really focus on. I've kind of always been in shape, but being out for a while, definitely you gain some pounds here and there. So being able to take over the lock spot again and getting up and down the floor and guarding fast players. The SEC is extremely fast, extremely tough. So getting back in shape's been fun, exhausting, but we enjoy the challenge here. So I'm really just excited, hopefully adding some parts to my game to help us a little bit more. And I'm just really excited. I've missed it a lot, so I'm glad to be back with my teammates.
Well, welcome back. I'll go
Thank
on
you.
to Amber. Toll-free moving on, but you get Jalen on the court, you get Destiny on the court with you. How have you seen that chemistry mesh together?
Obviously, we're going to miss Lex being in the other lock spot, but gaining Jalen as an experienced player, I think that'll be really good for us. And then well, as far as the chemistry and how we play, moving real fast. She pushes the ball extremely well, gets to the basket, finds her teammates, and me and Jalen are in a lock spots waiting for the ball. And then you have Chelsea dragging behind. So it'd be really nice to add to mix.
And if I could ask, and this is really for all three, I don't know if you follow football, but the SEC defense has been behind. Do you see that would pay an advantage to you guys with how much you all score the basketball? Destiny, you want to start?
Yeah, will you ask that one more time? I'm sorry.
In watching, I don't know if you watch SEC football, but one of the things that has been noticeable is because of COVID and the ability or lack of ability to really practice with contact, the defense has suffered. So my question is, do you feel like that will be an advantage for you guys with how quickly you guys' system scores the basketball?
I think in general, as fast as we score the basketball, if it was going to be defense or not, it's going to be an advantage for us. And so I think for us in practice, there's really no barrier. I mean, we're not really thinking about it. We're just there to play, get better, and be the fastest offense in the country.
Amber, how do you see it?
Carolyn, I'm going to hijack that question real quick because I'll forget. We played a one-quarter game. What was that, guys? About 2 weeks ago, and a team scored 31 points in a quarter and lost by 8.
Okay.
So defense is definitely going to be behind. You're right. It's behind across because defense takes time. Defense is a lot of science, and science takes time. Offense is art. Art, you can put it together. So, yeah, that team had a great quarter. They scored 31 and got their butts beat by 8 in 10 minutes. So 70 points scored in a live 10-minute game scrimmage. And it was I'm not sure where our defense is going to be. We're actually starting our first defensive drill today. Coach Todd just left the office, so guys, get ready. But I think y'all all know that I've always felt like a good offense can beat a good defense in basketball. So we had a good defense last year, and it'll be good enough. It'll be very scheme-based, but I think you're on to something when you're talking about what you're seeing in football, Carolyn. I think it's going to be even more impactful in basketball.
And I just want
to mention the having players in and out of practice, that is going to really, I think, have a lot to do, more so on the defensive side than on the offensive side, especially with people who run a lot of set actions and don't rely on transition.
So I just want to make sure, Mike, that I heard this clearly from you. A good offense beats a good defense.
Yeah, it gives you a chance.
Okay.
It gives you a chance. What my point being there is, we'll use South Carolina as an example. I don't think you can get into a defensive struggle with South Carolina and win a game. You have to be able to score at the highest level to beat the best teams. To beat the best teams on your schedule, to have a puncher's chance, you've got to be able to score, and you've got to have a lot of weapons. And I know I got in here late, and this may have already been covered, but I'm sitting here looking at our preseason shooting statistics, and I'm looking at somebody that shot 49.6% in live action games, and they finished 9th in our numbers. Okay. 59.7 led it, 49.6 puts you at 8th. So you got to be able to make threes and make shots with this group, and they'll tell you it rises all ships when you see everybody around you making shots. So
great, thanks. I'll move on to somebody else.
All right, Christy, you want to go ahead and go?
Hey, Mike. Obviously, we always talk analytics with you. And so my question is, compared to a year ago, is there specific areas that from an analytics perspective, you guys are focused on that you need to improve on to have an even better season this year?
We'll be better defensively around the basket. Our two of our 3 destinies are going to provide us with more size around the basket than we've had. Taylor Thomas is, believe it or not, in better shape than she was last year, and she's going to do her part to do what she's always done. But we've got some size now around the basket that in 2 or 3 different games last year we just didn't have. Now we have that. So I think we'll see some continued improvement in that area. I just also think we're faster. That is something that every one of these kids are back in tremendous condition. There's familiarity. Everybody knew what was coming in. The pace that, we have, Michaela's not on this call, but Michaela, watching her and Destiny, they have to play on opposite teams a lot right now. And every now and then we'll slip them together. And when we do, it operates at a really, really high speed, and then everybody just flows in behind it. I think what Jalen talked about coming back from the time off. We are all in that boat, and we've taken it really slow to get where we need to be. But I think you're going to see even a faster, more in control team. We've been able to move at a fast pace offensively because we do have these returners that have been great teachers. I've seen maturity in Chelsea Dungy called a foul on herself in practice last week. We literally had to stop practice. Like, I didn't call it. Coach Todd didn't call it. It was a crucial play for her team on defense against a freshman, by the way. And she said, "Coach, I fouled her." And we literally had to stop practice. We were like, what just happened here? What just happened here? And she just answered it perfectly. She goes, "Coach, I'm a senior. New league. Turn over a new league." Just smiling and understanding the difference. You can be competitive without being an asshole, And that's where that type of growth, just little things like that, having Jalen back talking in transition defense was something we missed, and that's the other thing I'll point out to you that we'll be better at. We miss Jalen Mason in so many ways, but she is the absolute best transition defensive talker I've ever been around. And we missed that at times last year. So you're not going to be able to score near as easily on us. And I think even though Lex had a tremendous season, she had a tremendous senior season, I think we're 10 to 15 points better offensively than we were last year per game.
So, Mike, and I'm not asking for starters, but
hey, Christy, can I cut you off real quick?
You.
Yeah.
We're only going to have the players for a couple more minutes, so if we can direct the questions at them, we'll have names for a little while longer. So
yeah, y'all get them.
If you have any questions for players, we'll do a couple more because I know they have weights at 11:30, so we got to get them out of here. So do you have any questions for them, Christy?
I'm good right now.
Okay. Nate Allen, do you have any questions for the players?
Jalen, just what a difference have you seen in Chelsea since she's lost the weight and says she feels quicker than last year?
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea's been working really hard. We always are really competitive in the weight room and running in the sand and stuff like that and encouraging each other. But I definitely see her being back to where she was when our first year playing together. Her foot speed is a lot quicker. Her defense is quicker. So it just adds that extra layer that she has needed for her game, and it makes us 10 times better when she's able to move at that speed. So we're really excited that she's been working really hard, and we're proud of her.
Thanks, Jen.
Also for Jalen and Chelsea, what have you seen out of Eaton and some of the other newcomers?
Our freshman class is really impressive. They add a layer that we're really excited about building and leaving after next year. Riley and Alana are extremely fast and competitive, and their offensive skills are really impressive. Riley is a really good defender. She reminds me of Bailey Zimmerman, the way she goes for rebounds all the time. So that'll be good to have. And then Destiny McGee, like Coach Neighbor said, she's just a powerhouse in the post. I mean, we call her the wall. You can't really get through her at all, and she's going to, power her way into other posts. So it's really exciting to have really good freshmen coming in.
Andrea, we'll circle back to you. Do you have any other questions for the players?
Yeah, I've got one for Destiny and one for Amber. Destiny, for you, you've obviously had a very strong college career at multiple places. What brought you to Arkansas, and what is it about Arkansas that can elevate your game?
I think initially it's Coach Nabes. I feel like we've had a bond since, he coached at Washington. And for one thing, he's a coach I can trust, and I feel like his program fits my game the best. And then not only like connecting with my teammates, I feel like their games also complement me so well, and their work ethic, and then honestly, just the culture here in a lot of ways fits my personality and my game the best. And I think that's really what drew me here, and so fast right after. But since I've been here, it's been everything that I've been told it was going to be, that I thought it was going to be, and it's been a good transition.
What was the biggest key that was told to you that you're seeing actually happen now that you're on the court?
We're going to go and run fast.
And then this is my last one for Amber. We obviously have seen you scored all last season, multiple different ways. How has your game evolved or better, or how are you going to be better this season?
This season, this off season, I really focused on trying to get faster and getting in better shape. So I think my foot speed has improved and will help me on the defensive end a lot. And then obviously just keeping my shot where it was last year and trying to improve even more. Just later, trying more to evolve coming off the pick and roll. Having shooters around me, like we've talked about with Destiny, Jalen, and Chelsea, even Michaela, and then having Taylor down low with all the other bigs. I think we just fit so well together, and then the chemistry that we brought would be very good.
Got it. Thanks.
Jason Carroll, you got anything?
Yeah, I just want to know whichever one of the players or a couple players want to answer, just what's the competition been like? I know Coach talked about it a little bit. You guys have mentioned it, but as you kind of ramp up to opening things up for real today, what's that been like the last couple of weeks, getting ready and seeing the talent that you do actually have on the floor? Whoever wants to go first.
I can go. The competition's been insane. We haven't really played too many like full games. We'll play about half of the game, and the level of intensity that we bring every day is something that I think our fans are going to be really excited for. I mean, we're bringing that at practice against one another. So when we bring it to our competition, I think it's going to be really fun. And, everything that we do during practice is a competition, whether we're shooting or playing quick strike or something like that. We're constantly trying to be better every single day. So that competition is going to be really fun. And I think we're going to show our fans, just how much better that we've gotten.
Seth, you got another one? We'll go ahead and finish with you for the players.
Yeah, for sure. Destiny, you talked a little bit about kind of all the places that you've been, but what makes this Arkansas offense, as you've been in it for a little bit, so hard to defend?
I think it's really hard to defend just because in a lot of ways, you don't know what we're going to do. I mean, we'll talk all the time about entries into what we have, and it could be different, but it allows us as players to read depending on what the defense does. So we're always making the defense wrong. And I think that's really hard to guard because the defense in some ways is always wrong. So you're always going to make the right play if you know exactly what to do. And so I think on offense, also how fast we play. I mean, nobody wants to run up and down the floor as fast as we do. I hate guarding us when we scrimmage each other. But I think those two elements are a really big key to what makes us hard to guard on offense.
All righty, that'll wrap up the player portion. Chelsea, Jalen, Destiny, Amber, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Have good weights.
All right, now we will start with Coach.
All right, Coach Neighbors, you've had a busy, I don't even want to call it an off season because it started COVID early.
Yeah.
But how has this time over the summer, from the spring to the summer, been for you with having a new baby, getting a baby married, and then dealing with all of everything else?
Yeah, I'm one of those few people that are going to bash 2020, to death as being get this year over with. There's a lot of positive things as well. The walking the daughter down the aisle is a checklist thing for me. The birth of the new little, I got to certainly have a better chance of having a nose guard than a point guard. No question if you've seen the pictures. And then as hard as this year was with the way the season ended going into this, I honestly think I'm going to look back at the end of my career and think this is one of the best years we've ever had. I'm closer to all my players than I've ever been. I'm more in contact. I'm more in tune with any team than I've ever been with before. They always talk about how adversity brings you together and adverse situations create long-lasting relationships. I think we're going to look back and see that that's true about this season and this off season.
And now, looking at this roster and excited to hear about that, which I find hard to believe you can be playing faster than you have before, but you have so many weapons now, which is going to allow you to stay fresher on the court. What kind of advantage does that give you guys?
I think it makes us incredibly hard to prepare for. I don't think you can focus on any one player, any one particular action, or taking something away. You got to focus on more than one or two or three. And to see the level of understanding in a Chelsea now, in our upperclassmen, in that it's okay if the ball doesn't find me this quarter or this half or this game. That used to be – now they know that over the course of 25 games – we can't control how that other defense tries to guard us. make the right play, and it's going to come back. And there's so much confidence in each other. We have secretly snuck together the top 7 or 8 a few times, and their efficiencies, we don't turn it over hardly ever. And their shooting is just, it's been mind blowing. It really has. I'm not lying to you. These numbers set, you've got to shoot above 50% in live action games to even be in our top 8. It blows your mind some days with practice. I know that there's going to be nights we don't score well enough, but to me, it gives us a chance to beat anybody we could potentially play. You catch us, even if a Baylor, South Carolina, UConn, anybody that's going to be in the top 5, if we catch them on their B night, then we got a puncher's chance. And that's why we choose to play that way. I don't think we could beat those guys with a walk it up, pound it inside style or possession type game and win with defense. This is the way that we have to do it. And with this particular team, it's happening. I know it's hard to understand and grasp, but to see it happening, it's just a lot of fun right now. Having Jalen back is huge. And then the seamless addition of how quickly Slocum came in and established herself as a teammate, not as a player, as a teammate first and foremost. She's savvy. She's a veteran. She knew what was going to be most important. And she gained the respect of everybody on this campus from the time she stepped on it till now, for sure.
And then this is the last question I have is having Kelsey Plum come in as your GA. How much does that benefit? What does she bring? How does she help you?
Well, my phone doesn't ring near as much anymore because they're all calling her to talk to her about things, which is good. It's funny. She'll say the exact same thing I've been saying to a player for the last 2 years, but all of a sudden they listen to her. She's got so much more ability to explain to them in their terms what's important. I think she's, along with our strength and conditioning coaches, part of the reason our kids are in the shape that they're in. She's been talking about treating your body like a pro and what that means and looks like and feels like, and recovery, the importance of recovery, which by the player is recovery. And it's funny to hear her now talking about it, but she just gives you a sense of that she's doing it, not has done it. Pauline and Chantel can give it the has done it. I can give the talk of I've seen it done, but she can give the talk of this is what I am doing in the rehab of this Achilles. And, her perspective is unique, and it's in a very, very short period of time made a tremendous impact.
Great. Thank you.
You got it.
Jason, do you have anything for Coach?
Hey, Coach, I just wonder what the challenge has been like trying to put together this schedule and where you guys are right now with the schedule and what you hope to get done here with it.
The challenge has been trying to guess at what's going to be important in March, because that's all it is. It's going to be a straight guess. We obviously have a chance to have a really special team, and it's our challenge to prepare them for March. So balancing the COVID-related protocols, the budgetary protocols with, 20 years of experience of trying to play the best RPI schedule. That can't be near the consideration when you got to bring those other variables in. So it's been a puzzle, which I like puzzles, so it's been fine. We do have it done. We're waiting just to release it at the right time. I think it's a great combination of COVID protocol sensitive, financially, we're a good steward of our budget, and then also be ready, for what the NCAA tournament could possibly look like. And the eye test and the paper test, I think we're going to hold up fine. We've got Baylor coming in. I guess they're technically still the defending national champions. And then we're going to play some regional games, and we're playing in a tournament that's going to give us an opportunity to play at least 2 or 3 other high-level programs out of our 9 preseason. And then, you know, when you sit down, you start looking at who we play twice in the league and where we play. We will be on the road at the top of our league. So our schedule is going to be extremely challenging. But, you know, it was a puzzle. We got it done. Coach Schaefer does a great job on it. We had we did a lot of work on the forefront of it. So once we got the rules of the game, once the rules of engagement were established, we got it put together pretty quick without any problem.
The senior-laden team, how much does that help you through what you're having to navigate through right now, having that group of seniors with that experience?
I don't know how we would have done it without them. Just the way they've been so calm under chaos. We've been practicing that for 3 years, trying to be calm during chaotic situations, and just to hear some of their words, to hear Chelsea Dungy call a foul on herself. I'm going to talk about that because y'all don't understand how unprecedented that is. But that's a really good example of where they've all come, the way they've handled the social injustice piece, the way they've handled every single thing that comes down their pipe. I've learned a lot from them. I've probably learned more from them than I've taught them in these instances. So if it would have been, and all I have to do is look right now out the window, Muss has got 7 freshmen. He's on the opposite side of this deal. You know, I can sit back and let these team players lead our team. And so we're on opposite sides of the spectrum. And I know how lucky we are that it fell the time that it did to have that. It's not the number of, it's the quality of leaders. I mean, there's not just one player. The hardest decision I've got to have is when they tell us this year we can only send one captain out to the handshake line. We may just have a lottery. I cannot even begin to decide what criteria you would use to split the hairs on how our people lead. And you know, I don't care that Michaela Daniels is just a sophomore. She's just as much a leader as they are. So we've got a lot of those kids in the locker room, and they have made this challenge a great experience learning for me and for them.
Christy, go ahead.
Mike, to go back, you've just brought up Michaela, and you raved about her a year ago. Now adding Destiny, a lot of times it was IT coming in for Michaela. You didn't play them a lot together. Might we see those two on the court together, or kind of how do you plan on using both of them?
Yeah, if not, somebody check, because I've got COVID-related issues or something going on if I don't get them on the court together. We've got more quality depth. Riley Langerman can play the point. Mason can play the point. And together a lot. Destiny and Michaela, you know, you're asking me for a starting lineup, which I don't have, but if we did have one tomorrow, they'd both be in the starting lineup. Everybody said, you know, who's going to play the point? We don't have a point guard. That's what I tell everybody all the time. We don't have a point guard, so it's irrelevant who plays it. I want to have 5 point guards on the floor if we can. You know, we had that when Chantel was our 5 player at Washington. We really had 5 point guards. So I don't foresee any issue, especially they won't be roommates. I can guarantee you that, because I don't want to lose both of them. You know, they're going to sit on the opposite ends of the plane. They're going to sit on the opposite ends of the bus. They're going to eat in their rooms. They won't be roommates, because if we lost them both, we would obviously, you know, be missing a huge part of what we do. But they can coexist together. They have coexisted together. And Michaela is so much more comfortable in knowing what we want now. You know, I think you can see those kids on the floor for 30+ minutes together, and then another 4 to 5 separate from each other to give them a rest.
And so my final question, Mike, is only 9 games in the preseason for you. How does that change as far as the full implementation of your offensive system compared to years past, or is it all going to be thrown out there to them?
We could play tomorrow. I mean, this group has grasped it that quickly, and it's all we've worked on. So knowing that was going to be the case, and to Carolyn's point earlier, we felt like very, very early on that defense was going to be a challenge. So that's why we're spending a lot of time on it now that we have our 20-hour weeks. But I don't foresee – in fact, we've added some layers, and we've stripped a couple away. I think it's the stripping away of the stuff that when you can start to strip away things and eliminate things, then you get better at what you were doing. And that's what I've seen out of this team. And we can throw it inside. Destiny McGee and Destiny Oberg on the block are a viable option now. We didn't do a lot of post-entry passing. We have drills now where we do that, because if you put 4 shooters around Destiny McGee or Destiny Oberg, then it's a layup city. Get to the foul line, and they both shoot incredible from the free throw line. So that'll be a piece I think that will be new. I hope makes us better. I hope makes us even harder to defend. But just the level right now, the level of understanding is what I think is different for us than any team I've had, especially here. They're thinking it before I'm thinking it at this point. I don't know, Carolyn, I don't know if you remember, you were at the practice when we came to Lexington with that Washington team for a practice, the day in between the games. And you hollered at me, said, "Hey, can I get you before we start practice?" And I went, "We've been practicing for the last 20 minutes. And I hadn't said a word, but they had been practicing. This is that team. This team does not need me there. They don't need coach. They don't need our coaches there. They will practice. They will do things. We'll walk in the gym. They'll have a shooting contest going. And you don't want to go to the left on the left end. You better be ready to bring it. I don't know what they're playing for, if it's meal money or what they're doing, but it's serious. 2 shoes. I don't know what's going on in there. I don't ask, but it is on, and you better just take a left if you're not interested in competing that day. Because if you go to the right, it's game on.
Nate, you got anything for Coach?
Yeah. Just about Eaton, how has she adjusted? Also, just the weight loss. Do you notice a difference in Chelsea's play compared to this time last year?
She has got her quickness back, her first step back. She's got her explosiveness back. I don't have a clue. When I got into coaching basketball, I got to where I didn't care about a number on a weight scale. So I don't always know that. You notice it in the speed and the explosion. And she's back to having that ability to make you wrong. If you close out short, she's by you. She's getting fouled every time. So, and she talks about it openly. So I think y'all can talk to that with her, but it's noticeable, not only in how she plays individually, but how you have to defend us as a team. And I think it's led to her happiness. I think she's just she's in a really good place, like she talks about. And I'm proud of how our whole team and our whole program supported her and stayed, we kept calling her number no matter what, even when it was hard to explode by people. But I think that's what when she talks about how she's changed, I think that's going to be one of the really cool stories that continues to evolve over the season.
Seth, do you have anything for Coach? I'm sorry, Nate, go ahead.
Just Elana Eaton, how is she doing?
Eaton's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now. We'll have more on that soon, but she is one of those people in that shooting percentage that's in the middle of the pack. She's in the top 5. Her style, everything that we brought her here to do, she's done remarkably well. We'll know more in a couple of weeks with her with relation to her injury, and that will affect. It'll obviously affect her playing time. It'll obviously affect our rotations, all of that stuff once we know exactly where we're headed.
Thanks.
You got
Seth,
it.
go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned Coach Muss across the hall, and he's pretty renowned for having the transfer portal and getting and utilizing that. But if you look at your team, you have a lot of key players that have come and transferred in. What's your strategy on the transfer portal?
It's always been to fill necessary needs. And I think our timing was perfect when it came to that. We had a very depleted roster. The first meeting I walked into had 5 returners in it, so we knew we were going to have to build. We actually had 2 go into the transfer portal this year, which was the first time we've ever really dealt with that. So it's all about finding the right person for your locker room. And then opportunity. To me, you can't bring somebody new into your program that's not going to make an immediate impact. that's what you do in recruiting through the scholastic, through high school kids, the class kids. And I think we've built a pretty good blueprint for how to immerse a transfer in. And I think if you bring a transfer in, it's got to be a Dungy. It's got to be a Slocum. It's got to be a Ramirez. It's got to be one that I always say it's got to be one my daughter can pick out of the lineup. You know, my daughter was not a basketball player, and I used to take her recruiting with me. If she couldn't tell who we were in the gym to see, we were in the wrong gym. So if my daughter can't walk in and go, oh, is that Slocum? Oh. And that if she doesn't raise her eyebrows and go, oh, wow, then I've made a mistake in bringing somebody in. So I only think you use it. And I think we all fall into different categories when it comes to that. But you see these kids a lot of times, I think with transfers, depending on why they've transferred, Seth, that's what I always get to. Why are they leaving? The why they're leaving has to really be that it was a style of play change. It's got to be something that fits with what we're doing. And so far we've been very fortunate that every player that's taken a look at us has done their research. And then it's on us to make sure that that evidence is there once they get there. Like Slocum talked about, you know, everybody told her, oh, they play fast. Oh, they play fast. To hear her say, well, I didn't know it was going to be this fast. That makes me know that the people telling our story are doing it right.
And then is this something that you see your program continuing to utilize on down the road?
I think you're going to have to. I think with the potential of the immediate eligibility coming through here really quick, the potential of if winter sports are offering this year back like they are in the fall sports and in the spring sports, I think burying your head to the transfer portal would be a mistake. I think it's going to happen both directions. I think I've got to come to grips with that there's going to be a little bit of both ways. I've always did everything I can do to keep our players our players. I think there's going to have to be a change in that for me to understand that it may be a better situation to let somebody go. So it'll be something I think you continue not only to see, I think it's going to get even bigger, Seth. I think there's going to be more attention played. It's impacted our recruiting board. I can tell you that. Like, I think for a scholastic senior, there's a lot of coaches, and I'm one of them, that at least has the conversation of, would we rather have that scholarship for a potential transfer, or would we rather take an incoming freshman that we're not sure can come in and immediately compete for playing time? So I think you start to look at this in a puzzle format. I don't think you can just, throw a big net out and see who swims into your net and take them. I think you got to use a fishing pole and get people that are exactly right for what you're trying to do. But I think it'll be fun for you. If you're following that, you're going to see a big change when it comes to all programs.
Paul, do you have anything for Coach?
Yeah, sorry. I had obviously had some technical issues.
All good.
Sorry about
all good.
that. But but Mike, I would ask this. Everybody's kind of gone around this. With Destiny added to your mix, how is your team different, and how is it maybe the same as it's been? Can you just talk about that a little?
Everybody, it's going to be natural to just slide her into Toll-Free's role, okay? And you can't do that. If anybody, and not very many people went to Idaho to watch this kid play in high school. I can tell you because I went every week. I knew the flight attendants from Seattle to Boise. I watched that kid literally play every game for 3 summers, including her games in Russia. She looks like she did in high school. She's playing with a freedom, and she can just do things that very, very, very few people can do. With her size and speed and her strength now, with her added strength and conditioning, she's a really rare combination. And she's made every single person on our court better. And that's the sign of a great player. That's why she's played in 3 straight Sweet 16s. It's why she's been, I think, the leading scorer on each of those teams. And she's not a volume kid. You look, she had over 100 assists last year in an Oregon State team that played 60 possessions a game. So you'll see it. And not only will you see it, Paul, you'll hear it. It just sounds different when she drives the lane. It just sounds different. And it's one of those it things. None of us have ever been able to define it. Carolyn as a coach and Christy and Dre as a player, we all know those players that have it. And they know. Hey, our players figured it out really quick. They were like, wow, coach. There was zero resistance or resentment from her stepping on this campus, which is uber rare in today's college sports world. But it's a testament to Desi and who she is and how she was. But she broke the bench press record in our very first weightlifting opportunity. She bench pressed 150 pounds 27 times, which our strength and conditioning coach who was at Ohio State said he's only that John Tell Lavender was the only person he's ever seen do more. She's mature. She's happy. She knows that she's got an opportunity to really wrap this thing up in a cool way. But the speed, size, strength combination is really rare.
Thanks,
Andre,
Coach.
you want to go ahead and close us out here?
Uh-oh.
You're muted.
I didn't think it would be you on the you're on mute. Let me get my bingo card out.
No. What'd you say?
I had to get my bingo card out on who was on mute.
No.
You've already got two of them. Pet walk through the back. You got that one. Okay.
Yeah. I've got two cats, and if I put them out in the door, they're going to meow the whole time. So I'm doing everyone a favor. They're just going to invade the space.
I love it.
Coach, you talked about Eaton with a possible injury. I was watching some of y'all's videos. I saw Amber Ramirez in sweats a couple times during workouts. What's her status? What kind of was that over there?
We took a very cautious preventative deal with something that we felt like could be worse if we didn't give her some time.
Got it.
And of all the people that can handle a little time off, it's her. So I adopted, and I think I talked to several of y'all about this. We didn't really get serious about basketball till I saw football go airborne. We didn't. I mean, it was a lot of just checking in on, doing what you're doing, working on what we're already good at. But once I saw football kicked off, then we got a little bit more. So I think it was a little bit of some of that stuff, our ramp ups. She's had this little nagging deal for a number of years. And it became one of these, hey, the last thing you know what we're going to do. Stay in good cardio shape, and she has. But, yeah, she's been about 2 weeks out with us. She hadn't been out with us for about a week. And then the last one, just, because practice will be starting, Taylor Thomas won't be practicing for the first couple of weeks either. But it's not a season. We have nobody other than Eaton at this point that's got a season concerning issue. Eaton's will continue to monitor and see what happens. But everybody else with the November 25th, we would expect to be available.
Got it. And then you talked a lot about, obviously, Michaela Daniels last season, how big she was, how impactful she was as a freshman. Of the freshmen that you have, the true freshmen, can any of them make an immediate impact?
I think all three of them will, because they give us quality depth. They will all three have a role and a time in a game to which you'll see them, especially in the non-conference, see where they're at. And then the last thing that we had, Marquisha Davis has made that freshman to sophomore jump. I would compare that jump that she's made very much what Kia did for us last year, how she went from a very limited role as a freshman into a very dynamic role as a sophomore. I think Marquisha could be in that mix as well when you're talking about people we didn't see a lot last year. But Desi McGee, I think, is the one that everybody will immediately be drawn to because of the unexpectedness that she brings. I think when you make an initial snap judgment, the place where you end up will be very different than where you started. She impacts our game. She is as good a passer. She's not a Chantel Osahar, but she is very close. And her ability to play off the ball screen and off of give and goes. And, when you have upperclassmen ducking when she catches the ball on the block, I mean, they're just bailing out of there. It looks like I mean, they're like, just score. I just don't want to get hurt. She gives us something we haven't had, you know. So I think of the freshmen, Riley Langerman will be one of those people that I called her a fungus kid during her recruiting process, and everybody, and it's a term of endearment that she just grows on you. The more you see her, she's just like, whoa, she's in this play. Whoa, she's done this, she's done that. So we're expecting all three of them to compete. I would go back again. I know I've talked a lot about the Washington team, but this group of freshmen really reminds me of the group of Aari McDonald, Amber Melgoza, and Maylani Henson that came into Washington the year we went to the Final Four. Aari played, they played some in that next year. Okay. Aari didn't start at all. She played late in the year. Melgoza hardly got off the bench, and Maylani played very, very little. But they were playing with this group of upperclassmen. And then when the upperclassmen left, Aari McDonald's going to be a two-time All-American. Amber Melgoza led the Pac-12 in scoring. Maylani Henson was a 3-year starter. I think that's what this group does. If this group would have come into this place 2 years ago, they would all three be starting. And there's a good chance that none of them will. And there's a good chance that there will be nights when you won't see them very much. But that doesn't mean that they're not good. It doesn't mean that they're not getting better. And they knew that. That's what's so great about them. They knew coming in exactly what was going to be expected out of them. So, but you will notice them all in some shape, form, or fashion, I think.
And with
depending on Alana's injury.
With expectations as far as Makayla Daniels goes, is there more of an expectation on her to look to score, or do you still have so many pieces around her that she still kind of has that facilitating mindset?
She's still going to be opportunistic. If Oral Roberts decided not to guard her, she made 7 threes. Here's the thing, and you know this as well. If you don't put your fastest kid on her, she's going to shoot a bunch of layups. Yeah. Okay. Well, so now who guards Slocum now? Your second fastest kid? Okay. Well, if that means now Dungy or Ramirez are going to get your third and fourth best perimeter ball defender. And that's a hard matchup. It's how she starts it out and how in control and she just doesn't get herself into bad situations. She makes great decisions, and then she's opportunistic with her scoring. I think you'll see her numbers go up because she's going to play more minutes. But I don't know that she's necessarily going to be any more effective than she was last year. She was tremendous. She'll have a hard time overcoming her efficiencies. But she has. I'm telling you, she's our second highest three-point shooter right now. Number 2 behind Ramirez. Ramirez is shooting 59.7% in live game activity. 7.4 live.
And then
now that's going against us. There's not a lot of defense being played. I'll be the first to admit. We have been playing COVID socially distancing defense for years. we are the most prepared for that. We have not had anybody in trace, and we've practiced. So they can't get us from being 6 feet close enough to somebody for very long. That'll change today.
Last one for me, Coach. You're always trying to develop yourself as a coach, reading. You talked to me a lot last season about things that you do to try and learn how to connect to your players. What did you read? Did you do? How did you develop as a coach this offseason?
We started a Zoom room called The Zoom Where It Happens. It's a play on the Hamilton song, The Room Where It Happens. But it was The Zoom Where It Happens. And we started free rolling authors, just reaching out to them. And like, I'll plug Annie Duke. She's got a new book out. She's a great poker player. If you hadn't read any of Annie's stuff, she has Thinking in Bets. We just sent her an email. She said, yeah, I'd love to get on there. And I had it ended up, we capped it at 100 men's and women's basketball coaches, people from Walmart, Tyson, Nike, George's Chicken, you name it, leaders in the hospital, the bank, local and nationwide. And we started doing it every Thursday. And we had Josh Metcalf and Lucas Jaden. We had Andy Duke. We had Todd Henry. And word kind of started to spread that we got this little group together. And it kind of became if you don't show up, you lose your seat and you miss out. So we had a waiting list. And we did that. We tried to surround ourselves with a lot of people smarter than us. And I learned a lot. I mean, it helped me. It helped a lot of others, I hope. But it helped us stay connected because I missed those bars and hotel lobby bars and sitting around during recruiting and sitting around at the Final Four. I did a lot of learning during those, and I missed out on that this summer. I was sit and listen to, Gino and Doug Bruno talk about things, and I just sit there like a fly on the wall or a fly on Biden's head, I guess is what we're saying these days, just listening. And we missed out on that. So we had these listening groups, and it was a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time, and we've made a lot of really, really cool relationships with some of these authors and leading speakers that were willing to just jump on a Zoom with. It started out 7 of us, and then it went 7 to 27 to 50 till we had a waiting list of 100. So
is that just staff or all coaches?
No, like people like Adia was on there, McGuff. People y'all see me hanging around with. Buzz Williams was a guy that was in, some of the men's side coaches, TJ Otzelberger, just people I've come across. And then word got out. We had, Walmart executives and Nike and Tyson, just leaders, anybody that was a leader that started to hear about it. They started wanting in the club. And first of all, they had to know what the Zoom where it happens meant. They had to understand the reference, and then you had to show up.
Got it. Thanks, Coach.
We did that, and then the last piece, having a child born during this has been a really good thing because it's really grounded me to knowing that there's a lot of things going on that's more important than me having the right offense or the right defense and stuff like that. So that's staying connected to our kids that I talked about earlier. I feel like a lot better coach than I've ever been because I feel like I know more about them. And they know I care about them, I think, more than ever. And it's been a good thing for me to learn that even after this COVID that I've got to continue to do that because I think that's what's had a large part to do. We talk about adding Slocum. We talk about everybody being in better shape. But I do not discount for 1 second the fact that we're closer off the court to being why we're better on the court.
All right, everybody, that will go ahead and wrap up